Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I'd like to ask the opinion of my viewers on a couple of things this past week, but one in particular. So this past week has been a week filled with sadness and meeting with family members I hadn't seen for a long time. My grandmother passed away. She was 91 years old, and I'm here at Taiwan for her funeral. Let's take a look at Taiwan outside. And it was my first time meeting, among other people, my cousins and a couple of nieces and nephews I didn't even know I had because I haven't been talking to or distant nieces and nephews, I should say. My some of my cousins have had children. My brother and I are more or less romantically attached to ourselves, so we have both of us have dated some, but not have children with kind of material. So it was nice to introduce them to that concept as well. But it was my grandmother's funeral, and I wanted my grandmother to go up to meet Mary Curry, obviously, and see if my grandmother would talk to her and see if there's one of her great great grandchildren would like to get to know me. And my grandmother was cremated, and I left a chunk of material for her to give to Mary Curry that Mary Curry can use for her experimentations. And I looked up what the temperature for cremation is. So, in the process of cremating, it might have formed a beautiful crystal, right? It wasn't high enough to boil bismuth, but to melt it for sure, right? And so, I guess today when we get the ashes, we could see the results of that. But I want my grandmother to go hand that to Mary Curry. And would have been otherwise a beautiful day, but two things happened that kind of disheartened me. The first thing that happened was that some people are very prejudiced about my eating ways. So when I was 18 years old, I quit eating, among other things, refined white sugar and MSG. I am autistic, and avoiding those things really, really helps me. I can't say how or why. I don't want to defend myself on why I do it. Most of my family members already know it. After all, that was 15 plus years ago. And at some point, I might have to explain it to my extended nieces and nephews, but that's a few years off at least. And we went to a restaurant, and I had to special order a couple of things. I don't know if any of you guys are from Asian cultures, but food is kind of shared, right? My the people my generation were very understanding. It was the older people who kept telling me that just try this. I don't think this has any additives, and I wasn't about to take that at face value. You know, I especially when I'm this far away from home, I don't want to have a bad reaction. I think in an ideal world, you say I'm not comfortable with this food. That should be the end of the discussion. After all, this was some of my extended family members are Buddhists. When you have a family member die, you go vegan for a number of days. And there were plenty of dishes there that might have been vegan that somebody else might have been uncomfortable with. That was the end of that discussion. And for some reason, it wasn't with my. And unfortunately, the conversation got ended up with me having to explain autism and how I changed my diet when I was 18. After I came home, I was upset about that. My dad explained that next time, just shut the fuck up and let them talk and talk and talk and talk about pushing food and let them burn themselves out, which might have been true, but that's kind of annoying to have to listen to as well. I think we need some kind of a almost like a Me Too culture, kind of movement with food pushing, just like we did with the sexual harassment last decade, right? I hate to see it go that far. I wish people would just enjoy their own food and let other people enjoy their own food, right? And so that was that. The other thing was that the people my generation were actually very understanding of. I actually don't hold a marriage to myself anymore. I hold a relationship to myself, but I explained it as marriage to the others because everybody was talking about their honeymoons, which is great, which is great. The younger generation was very understanding of it. The older generation was blabbing about how I'm just dressing up the concept of not getting married and all that. And one of my cousins is a chemist, and I explained how Mary Curry uh, also had a second marriage after her husband's accident in Paris. And he got this, and the cousin understood it. The parents were very confused by that concept. Let's just put it that way. So there's still a lot of generational gap about that, which is why I really miss when we were locked up in the pandemic. You didn't have to face all these. You ate what you wanted to eat. You married the way you wanted to. Nobody judged. Everybody lived and let lived. And this whole pushing of return to the office is really a push to give the people in charge a reason to harass the people they are in charge of, right? It really goes to show that unless there's a good reason you need to be in the office. So right now I teach at a community college. Yeah, a lot of the students need that. But if you work behind a computer, right, a lot of that is just power play, in my opinion. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.